would it have been like to walk and talk with Jesus while he was here upon earth? Good question. When we read of his busy life, would it have been possible for us to spend time with him? Would he have been always on the move and we would have to be quick to follow him? Would his legs have been long, and as he walked up and down the land, would our legs have got tired trying to keep up with him? When we come to some highlight in our Christian experience, we don't want anything to change. We want to savor the moment and stay in that place so that the mood never gets broken. Peter was like that in Mark chapter 9 on the Mount of Transfiguration. Pure heaven upon earth. Moses had appeared, the great lawgiver. How many questions would you like to ask Moses? How did it feel to stand before Pharaoh and defy him? What was it like to try and control and move over 1 million people through the wilderness like you did? Did the people's constant grumbling never get on your nerves? Elijah, the great prophet of old. What was it like to stand up against those 400 prophets of Baal? What do you think of when you're running for your life? What about Jesus, the greatest teacher of all time, the one who spoke with authority, the one who showed so much compassion for people, the one who promises forgiveness? Peter thinks, this is it. This is where I want to stay. Let us build 3 homes here and never again move from this place. It would be nice always to stay on the mountaintops. But the reality is there is work to be done. If we're honest, most of the time we live in the valleys. We struggle with the challenges of life. We almost grow tired of trying to be like Jesus some days. Paul challenges us in Galatians 6, 9 and 10. Let us not grow weary while doing good, for in due season we shall reap if we do not lose heart. Therefore, as we have the opportunity, let us do good to all, especially to those who are of the household of faith. We are challenged to live not on the mountaintop or in the valley, but on the hillside where we are needed. Jesus couldn't stay always with his disciples. He had to go on to the cross so that others, more than just the 12 apostles, could share in the value of his life. Little children, I shall be with you a little while longer. You will seek me, and as I said to the Jews, so now I say to you, a new commandment I give to you, that you love one another, as I have loved you, and you also love one another. By this all will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another. Paul in 1 Corinthians faces an almost impossible task as he challenges them to love in word, in thought, and in deed. The congregation was in a mess, full of selfishness, bad attitudes, bad examples. Paul in chapter 13 challenges them to understand what true love is and to apply it to all that they do. The story is told of an old wood carver. He used to carve and whittle all sorts of marvelous things. He was asked, how do you manage to whittle things so lifelike? How do you make a dog, for example? The old man said, it is simple. You just whittle away everything that doesn't look like a dog. Paul does a similar thing in 1 Corinthians with the concepts of love. He challenges us to cut away all the parts of our lives and attitudes that do not look like love. He briefly tells us what love is, but more importantly, he tells us what love isn't. Love is not envious. Love is not boastful. Love is not arrogant. Love is not rude. Love does not insist on its own way. Love is not irritable. Love is not resentful. Love does not rejoice in wrongdoing. That is a lot of material to cut away. It's important we note that Paul spends a lot more time telling the congregation at Corinth about what love isn't than he does telling them about what love is. Perhaps because they have put so much effort into that which is not really love. If we look closely at this chapter, we can see very clearly that Paul isn't just writing a poetic piece about how great love is, like something on a Hallmark card for Valentine's Day. Paul is writing against those people in the assembly who are not acting with love as their guide. In the rest of this chapter, Paul continues to whittle away all parts of the Corinthian congregation that doesn't look like love. Those who had the gift of prophecy and teaching were setting themselves higher than others whose gifts weren't as visible. Those who had given more to the congregation were setting themselves higher than others who weren't able to give as much. The list goes on and on. But Paul, in writing here about love, reminds the congregation that none of the gifts or the abilities an individual may have is anything without love. But we often think we know what love looks like and how love feels. But every place here where Paul talks about love, it is used with an action in mind, not a feeling. This is something we forget so many times. Love is not some fuzzy-wuzzy feeling we get when we think about another person who is really nice. Love isn't primarily a feeling at all. Love is an action. Love is a verb far more than it is a noun. Feelings come and feelings go. Feelings are temporary by their very nature. But love is not a temporary feeling. Love is a permanent and repeated action, in spite of what others do to us. There is a joke about a mother mouse that has her baby mice following behind her as they're moving across the farmer's field. All of a sudden, a big cat pounces on the mother mouse and her baby mice. The mother mouse lets out a big noise and screams, "Bow wow, bow wow wow wow," whereupon the cat runs away as fast as it can. The mother mouse turns to her children and says, "Now you know the benefit of knowing a second language." Love, real love, love in action is like knowing a second language. Are we comfortable with how we love others at the moment? Does our understanding of love need some work done in it to enable us to love more like Jesus? Are we truly demonstrating in our lives the kind of love that Jesus challenges us to demonstrate? Someone once said that when a person becomes a follower of Jesus, even their dog should know the difference. We all know how to love the people we like. We all know how to love when things are going well. But to love our enemies, that's the real test of knowing this foreign language of love. What kind of husband are we? Is our love as a husband a demonstration of Jesus to the world? What kind of father are we? Is our love as a father a demonstration of Jesus to the world? What kind of wife are we? Is our love as a wife a demonstration of Jesus to the world? What kind of mother are we? Is our love as a mother a demonstration of Jesus to the world? What kind of child are we? Is our love as a child a demonstration of Jesus to the world? What kind of brother and sister in Christ are we? Is our love as a child of God a demonstration of Jesus to the world? When someone wrongs us and we forgive, that is love. There is a poem that expresses for us a wonderful thought. It's called A New Leaf by Helen Field Fisher. He came to my desk with a quivering lip. The lesson was done. Have you a new sheet for me, dear teacher? I've spoiled this one. I took his sheet, all soiled and blotted, and gave him a new one, all unspotted. And to his tired heart I cried, "Do better now, my child." I went to the throne with a troubled heart. The day was done. Have you a new day for me, dear master? I've spoiled this one. He took my day all soiled and blotted and gave me a new one, all unspotted. And to my tired heart he cried, "Do better now, my child." We are challenged by God to be better in each new day. We are challenged by God to demonstrate our love each day. When, despite whatever ability we might have, we use it in a way that is not self-serving or arrogant, that is love. When we act in love, it is almost as though a little chunk of us is being carved away, and we are being whittled piece by piece into a new and better creation. The secret is not to let our hearts be hardened to the point that we don't let God carve on us and shape us and mold us into the likeness of his Son. Are we willing, as the hymn says, to allow God to mold us, to make us after his will? Jesus has something for each one of us to do. How does God carve a person into the image of Jesus? We allow God to cut away everything that doesn't look like love. Love is a true language we need to learn.